Last time I talked about Fire Emblem characters who were done dirty in Heroes. Today I'm doing the exact opposite. This might be a bit more complicated because this game has so many characters that are extremely powerful, and some of them also happen to have many odds.
What I'm aiming for in this video is to analyze those characters that have it so good in the game, those that clearly have some bias from the game's developers, which is very obvious when you consider certain factors. Some of the characters you're gonna see on this video aren't that good in their own games, aren't even popular among fans, or in some cases, both. Yet in Heroes, they're really good for no reason at all. Only rule for this video is no main characters. I think it's pretty obvious that most of them are super marketable and usually tend to get really good odds. And besides, it makes the video more unpredictable if, I would mention obvious picks like Lane, Ike, Violet, and all the other MCs, am I right? Otherwise, I will be here all day talking about the Marts, Hectors, and Ericas.
Is that clear enough? Then let's begin!
Remember, some characters in this video aren't exactly disliked by the community. In fact, some of them are pretty popular regardless of how terrible they are in their own game. Arden is the perfect example of this. Genealogy of the Holy War is a game oozing with gigantic maps, where half of your army is made up of horse units. Because of his low movement and okay performance, Arden's only real use is to leave him in the castle so he can defend and cause choke points. Regardless of that, Arden has found quite a popularity among fans. Just so you can have an idea, in the first Choose Your Legends, Arden made it to the top 100 and was the third most voted genealogy character, only being bested by Sigurd and Ida. That is a huge achievement considering he's from a game not many people have played. He had an entire recipe to be bad in Fire Emblem Heroes, yet he actually had it very good, and that is surprising because Arden was added as a free Tempest Trial unit with no unique weapons. Yet, his stats were so well distributed you could easily make him a physical powerhouse. He also had a unique skill nobody else had, the follow-up ring that would guarantee him a follow-up attack, and combined with a brave sword, Arden became one of the first units that could reliably quad the enemy, a genuinely impressive feat at the time when you consider his abysmal speed. And if that wasn't already cool enough, Arden eventually got a refine that made his strengths even more notable to the point you could say it was almost overkill. Also, when the save skills were added to the game, Arden became one of the most popular candidates to use them, keeping him relevant for more time. But without a doubt, the cherry on top was his art. I don't care what other people say, but Arden is a character that belongs to Soeda Ippei and nobody else. This artist clearly adores this character and I fully approve that. At the end of the day, Arden really embodies his own description. He's low, yeah, but he's strong and tough. Amelia is one of those characters that always seems to be divisive within the franchise. Some people say she's an amazing unit, but people who actually know Secret Stones will tell you she's the worst character in the entire game. Still, that didn't stop Heroes from treating her with a lot of love. Amelia is a kinda similar case to Arden. She wasn't a free unit, sure, and she didn't come with a unique weapon or anything. But she stood out from all armor units as she was actually fast. And not just that, all of her stats minus resistance were fantastic, especially for Year 1 heroes. Amelia also came in with something completely new, Armor March, and she was easily one of the best candidates to use it. This basically made Amelia, for a time, a very common unit to see in the Colosseum. She also got a great refine down the line that gave her some extra life in terms of usage. And she also got, in my opinion, one of the greatest resplendents in the entire game. It's so good, it almost makes me forget Amelia hasn't gotten a new alt at all. Still, for what is considered to be the worst unit in Sacred Stones, it is a miracle that Amelia was as good as she was during the early years of the game. Maria is one of those characters that isn't terrible per se, but in Shadow Dragon you have better options to consider like Lina and Wendell, so Maria isn't exactly a character people tend to use unless they really like the character or want to challenge themselves. Her first incarnation in Heroes pretty much reflected that by making her just another staff unit of the bunch. But 5 years later, Maria got an insane buff! Hairspring Gold. Long story short, she had amazing attack, speed and defense, came in with an axe and skills that made her hit like a cannon, tank like a champion, and heal herself in the process. She was exponentially better than Minerva and Mikalis. You know, her older Wyvern Lord siblings? And it didn't stop there. She would later get a fallen ult that made her one of the most insane supports in the game, letting her teammates survive with 1 HP left and fully heal them in the process. Take in mind, this was something only Legendary Fae could use, and Fallen Maria was able to give it to everyone. If that's not having it way too good in the game, I don't know what is. This one might not surprise anyone, but you can't deny how true it is. Reinhardt. This mention is not because he's bad or anything, on the contrary. In Theracia, hell, all of Fire Emblem in general, I believe he is one of the most difficult bosses to battle, unless you cheese it. But let's be fair, when he was added to Heroes, how many of you actually knew who he was? Having him added was a surprise, sure, especially since he got in before Leaf. Reinhardt is very funny because when he was added to the game, I feel that Intelligent Systems wanted to make Olwen the better version by making her 5-star exclusive. They also made her faster so she could quad with magic, but here's the thing. Her attack was so bad that it didn't even matter! 0 times 4 is still 0! Reinhardt, on the other hand, had all the attack he needed to become an oppressive force on the battlefield, and him being a 4-star unit basically made him so easy to build. Back in the day, horse teams were everywhere, and Reinhardt always had to be there alongside Brave Lynn and Brave Veronica. He even got a Sword ult and a Dancer ult as well as a Resplendent, and not gonna lie, I think the reason Dire Thunder never got a refine, at least at the time of this video, is because Reinhardt was so crazy strong for so many years that Intelligent Systems believed he didn't need one at all, otherwise he would have been next to unstoppable. Which is ironic when you consider all the broken units we have gotten throughout the years. But hey, for those of us who were there, we'll never forget the reign of Reinhardt. The next character might go against what this video is about. They are super popular and they are one of the best units in their own game, but I just have to mention them. Camilla. At the time of this video she has 8 ults, 9 if you consider her duo with Hinoka. She is one of those characters that feels they have to put in a banner no matter what. We have to squeeze that sex appeal at all costs. And as a result, Camilla is putting banners that don't make sense for her at all. Why is she in a New Year Hoshidan celebration? Why was she forced into a ninja banner? Why is she a pirate? Why was she in the Adrift banner? God, that banner was so ass! I think the only Camilla I kinda like is the Brave one because, cool! Yeah, she won Choose Your Alliance, fine. But here's the thing. I'm bothered by Camilla having so many ults because she's not a main character. Actually, scratch that. She's not even a secondary protagonist like say Lucina or Asura. Yeah, sure, she is popular, but I can also use that excuse with Marianne and the Gatekeeper who also won Choose Your Legends and the latter got more votes than Camilla. How come they don't have many more ults? Well, I can think of 2 reasons as to why Camilla just keeps having it too good in the game. They just know she will sell no matter what. The only thing I find remotely shocking is that she hasn't gotten a Resplendent yet. Not trying to jinx it, but yeah, I just found that interesting. And since I'm already mentioning popular characters who keep getting ults a lo pendejo, Young Tiki. I won't go too deep into this, I already complained about Young Tiki in my previous video, and I think I said everything I wanted to say about her. So check out that Fire Emblem video if you wanna learn more. All I will say is, justice for adult Tiki. While working on this video, I couldn't help but wonder, is there a Heroes OC who has been treated with excessive love and tons of bias? And yes, in fact, there were 2 characters that came to mind, Veronica and Fjord. But here's the thing, if I had to choose only one to talk about, I think Fjord beats Veronica just by a hair. Here's my reasoning. Throughout the years, Veronica has been the pseudo-face of heroes. In a way, you could say she's a co-protagonist given how much Intelligent Systems keeps marketing her. I mean, just look at Engage, in which she became a DLC character. So yeah, she's favored by the developers, no doubt, but that's kinda to be expected. Fjorm, on the other hand, is just the protagonist of Book 2, in which you could argue she was just there most of the time. But unlike, say, Air, Peony or Regin, Fjorm just keeps getting more and more and more, and not just that, her roles have been beyond insane! First, we have base Fjorm, and she was good, not an overpowered unit or anything, but at least everyone got free access to her. Then comes New Year Fjorm, and this one was okay, but then everything changed. Bridal Fjorm changed the meta by becoming a direct counter to the most annoying character in the entire game, Legendary Asura. If you wanted to have any sort of relief in either raids, Bridal Fjorm was a must to summon, and it didn't stop there. Later down the line we got Ascended Fjorm with a combination of save skills and Null Sea Disrupt in her weapon. She effectively became a meta-defining unit. I swear I will see her on either raids like 80% of the time. And I can't blame people for using her, she was that good. And if you thought it would stop there, she also got a summer ult that is also ridiculously strong. And that's not even mentioning how she got a duo with Leon that, as you will guess, was also worth summoning if you like the characters. Something I find very funny is that almost all Fjorms are always drawn by the Book 2 artist Maeshima Shigeki. You just know this artist doesn't want anyone else to touch Fjorm. I like to imagine they had to be strapped to a chair just so Kobun could draw out Ninja Leon and Fjorm. And I still haven't mentioned all those official videos Nintendo has uploaded. A Chibi Playhouse featuring Fjorm, what about a musical video of Fjorm singing a song? Given how many Fjorms are in the game, how strong they tend to be, the external love she continues to get, and how many times she has appeared in Forging Bonds, I'm convinced that Fjorm is the hero's OC with the most bias put into her. After 6 years of playing heroes, you know what's a pattern I've noticed? If you're a Myrmidon / Swordmaster woman in Fire Emblem, there is a very strong chance that you're bound to be incredible no matter how good your performance is in your actual game. We have some examples of characters that reflect their actual performance. Aira, Larcy, and Marita, they're all fantastic units in their own games and are just as good in heroes. Fer and Mia are okay, but every now and then they tend to receive something that is extremely competent without needing much investment. But there's two particular units that stand out above all the Myrmidon women. First, we have Lucia. In Delius, she is fine, not outstanding, but she can work. Thing is, in Delius, Swordmasters have a hard time finding a place to belong, so many players don't tend to use Lucia as much, especially when Stefan exists. Regardless of that, she has become a standout in Heroes, bringing a mechanic that is basically no items, Fox only, final destination. Lucia nullifies everything. Terrain bonuses, support effects, follow-ups, effects that change attack priority. She also disables skills that prevent counterattacks and specials, all while she gets extra stats, damage bonuses, and damage reduction. There was no reason at all to make Lucia this unique and good in the game. But they did! And yet, someone else got it much, much better than her. Carla. Any player who knows Blazing Blade will tell you the same thing. Carla is a character whose recruitment is extremely cryptic. You can only get her in Hector's mode, but only if you go to a certain paralogue late in the game. You need to have a level 5 promoted Bartre, make him fight Carla, and have both characters survive the battle. And your reward for this will be one of the worst units in all of Blazing Blade. In the simplest of terms, Carla is extremely weak and has pitiful durability. Something made even worse cause the final chapters of the game feature a ton of lands and magic enemies. Well, for some reason nobody understands yet, Carla continues to get all the best in Heroes. When she was first added to the game, for a good time, she was often considered one of the best sword units in the game alongside Aira, carrying an incredible offensive presence and a respectable bulk. Her unique weapon accelerated her specials but also gave her a true damage effect, which was super valuable back in the day. This sword only got better with a refine by giving Carla extra stats, a more reliable way to trigger her true damage effect, and null follow-up. Not to mention, she also got a resplendent too. Even if this art is mediocre as hell, that doesn't change the fact that Carla was constantly getting more and more stuff. And it didn't stop there, cause we also got Hatari Carla, a unit that was even stronger than base Carla, but also blessed her with a skill set that allowed her to constantly trigger specials without effort. Also, did I mention that these two Carlas were drawn by Kita Senri? That alone is already a blessing on its own. It's like Alfred, nobody gives a shit about him, but he still got incredible art by Kita Senri. And Carla just continued to get it better, cause she also got a Spring Harmonies unit with Freya, and it's like, how? Why? This Harmonies unit always confused me, because what's the theme here supposed to be? Like, okay, these two characters have a brother, but Garel is the psychopath brother while Carla is the saint sister. Meanwhile, Freyr is the composed brother while Freya is the psychopath sister. I don't know, it's just weird, but the point of this is, Carla got yet another fantastic cult, cause her spring unit had all the qualities that made previous Carla so good, but also nullified damage reduction from other units, while also giving great support for her allies. Someone at Intelligent Systems must really adore Carla, cause really, how come one of the most mediocre units in Blazing Blade keeps getting more incredible ults in Heroes? I mean, I'm not complaining though, but it's that kind of stuff that really makes you think. Something I find very cool about Fire Emblem Heroes is when they take non-playable characters from the games and make them, well, playable. Some picks are incredibly obvious, such as the main antagonists. You know they will make it into the game no matter what. Except Nergal, it's been more than 6 years, where the fuck is he? But I think it's even cooler when the non-playable character is someone nobody expected at all. One example I really like is August. He's basically one of Leaf's tacticians in Thracia, and believe it or not, he's honestly a well-written character. Even though he's not playable, I honestly enjoyed his dialogue a lot. He was a character I didn't expect in Heroes at all, because he's not playable and he's an old man. But to my surprise, he got into the game, got incredible art by the extremely talented Rika Suzuki, and even got a gimmicky staff. I didn't say it was good, but it's definitely gimmicky. Other notable examples include Brigand Boss from Shadows of Valentia. This dude was such an absurd inclusion that I couldn't help but welcome the idea. Just think about it. This guy got into Heroes before the likes of Mycen, Jesse, or Jetta. Actually, never mind, that's not funny, that's kinda sad actually. Then we have the Thorba. Even as someone who has played Genealogy, when she was added to Heroes, my first reaction was, "Who are you?" I had to do some research, and once I figured out who she was, I was like, oh yeah, no wonder I didn't recognize her! Her portrait is shared with many other female bosses in Genealogy! Still, I can appreciate that they made the Thorba playable and also gave her some pretty art, even if she's kind of a non-entity in Genealogy. But one of my favorite examples, and I'm sure many people will agree with me, is goddamn Mustafa! I won't go too deep into this. If you have played Awakening, then you know exactly what makes Mustafa an incredibly beloved character. In just one chapter, he conquered the hearts of anyone who played that game, leaving a stronger impact than most of the playable characters. He's someone you wish you could spare and recruit. Unfortunately, that's not the case in Awakening. But I'm glad that Heroes recognized Mustafa as the absolute GOAT that he is and made him playable. He deserves all the praise he gets from the fanbase. The thing with these characters is that, most of the time, they're not that good since they tend to lack a unique gimmick or weapon. But just the sole fact that someone at Intelligent Systems said, yeah, let's put these obscure characters in the game, is already a miracle on its own, and that's why I thought they were worth mentioning. But there are also times when these non-playable units are very good. In fact, they are excellent! The best example of this is Layla. Another perfect case of someone players will have loved to recruit in their game, but due to certain circumstances they just can't. In Layla's case, she's murdered by Jafar. Yet, when she was included in Heroes, they made her extremely good for no reason at all. In terms of stats, at the time, she could easily take care of any enemy she came across as long as she could double, which was very easy for her to do thanks to her base 41 speed. Her weapon, the constant dagger, was insanely unique and versatile, giving Layla considerable stat boosts, and if she had a support partner, she could prevent the enemies from counterattacking while she will swap places with her partner. And that's not even mentioning the inherent debuffs that daggers tend to apply. Layla was a bit tricky to use, but for those who knew how to use her, will find an extremely useful and powerful unit. And her successful career didn't stop there, as she would later get a Thief Alt that introduced a new type of Canto, as well as extra stats for herself, all while preventing counterattacks and causing a lot of cheap damage to enemies. There is no doubt that someone at Intelligence Systems was thoroughly devastated when Layla was murdered in Blazing Blade, and that's why they made her as good as she was in Heroes. Now if only Matthew will get something as good as his lover, that would be nice. I'm just saying. The best thing he has gotten in 6 years was a very pretty Resplendent. So of all these non-playable characters in Heroes, there is a group I find so fascinating. The lore characters. People you learn about during their games, but you never get to interact with them, or in some cases, you don't get to see them at all. Bramimont is an odd exception to this rule, since technically speaking you get to interact with them, but they are never playable and they're still a lore character. But other characters worth mentioning are Ullur from the Joktrol games. She's someone you know about through some characters and by reading the history of the continent. But even before Heroes, fans didn't even know her gender until she was added to the game. As a unit, she was competent, but nothing that changed the meta. That honor goes to Ellie in Mario Kart, another character who is referenced many times through the LEB games. Her weapon, the Staff of the Saint, completely turned either rates around by preventing enemy units from triggering their skills at the start of the turn. This effectively shut down incredible units such as Legendary Sigurd, Yuri, Bredel Katria, Pent, Bredel Fjorm, among many others. And that's not even mentioning the stat boosts and damage reduction she offered to allies. Elimin is insane, cause she was just casually dropped into the game and completely changed the meta. There must have been some bias in there from someone. Also fun fact, way before she was thrown into Heroes, the only way you could know how Elimin looked like was by linking Blazing Blade with the bonus disc of Mario Kart Double Dash, in which Elimin will show up to give you some items in the game. That's why some fans tend to refer to her as Mario Kart. You learn something new every day. But without a doubt, the lore character who has received the most love in all of Heroes is Altina from Tellius lore. And this shouldn't come as a surprise. Even before Heroes, Altina was already getting attention by giving her one of the most gorgeous cards in the Cypher card game. When she was added to Heroes, she was an absolute terror to anyone who crossed paths against her. The Ragnell and Alondite combo basically allow her to dual attack her enemies in any phase while having distant counter too. This was beyond terrifying back in the day, and Altina wasn't exactly easy to deal with, since her personal skill, as she was chosen, basically nullified her flying weaknesses while boosting her stats. She was an oppressive force on the battlefield and everyone wanted an Altina in their barracks. And that was so evident because she won the A Hero Rises event from 2020 by a landslide. Even when regular Altina was falling behind, that's when Christmas Altina came in, which basically had all the great qualities from her previous incarnation, but was also stronger, had more effects and extra support. But the best part about Christmas Altina is that she got one of the prettiest, one of the most beautiful and adorable arts in all of Heroes. God, I love this art so much, it's easily one of my favorites. And just when you thought everyone would forget about Altina, that's when she accompanied Edelgard in her summer alt. This is a crossover I never thought I needed. But damn, it's so good. Because it basically combines the unique gimmicks of Edelgard and Altina at the same time, making them an absolute terror on the battlefield. I love this unit so much, it's incredible. Despite only being a lore character in the Tellius games, Altina's dominance in the mobile game has ensured that fans will continue to remember her for years to come. And that's why I think she has had it extra good in Heroes.
So now, tell me, do you agree with the list? Is there another character that you think has had it very good in Heroes? If so, then please let me know in the comments, and will you do that? Thank you so much for your time, I really hope you enjoyed the video. And well, if you could support the channel, you know, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, Patreon, or even checking my other content, that will help me so much. I'm pretty sure you guys already realized it, but I'm now in a completely different setting. I left my country, so long story short, any support you can give will genuinely help me stay alive. Making videos is gonna get super complicated for me from now on, but I want to continue doing it because I just really love it so much. But I think you get the point. Have a wonderful day and take care. I'll see you next time.